Hello my lovely friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Deja. We talk everything books. If you're not new here, welcome back for my February wrap up. I am excited to talk about these books with you guys because I had some really good reads this month. Well, last month because it's March now. So I'm gonna hop right into today's video. I am gonna pull up my Goodreads so that we can go in order from the books I started at to all the way to the end of the month in order. Okay, so the first book I read in February, which started off really good, was Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. And guys, this was a good book. Dark. Check your trigger warnings because the topics are super dark. There's a lot of trauma and not so fun things going on in this book, but I'm a dark romance girly if you guys don't know that already, and this was really good. I really thought that it was kind of different than most dark romance books. One, it's a plus because it's only 300 pages. We love that, right? Like, we don't want 500 pages, so that was a plus. But also I really loved that it didn't start off how most dark romance books start off. Like, it wasn't slowly easing into it. Like, by chapter 1, like, we're like deep into shit already and things are going on. The darkness, all the dark stuff happens like right in the beginning, and the middle is more of like the dealing with the trauma, and the ending is healing and all that stuff. If you're into dark romance, you can handle all the stuff. Again, check the trigger warnings. If you can handle that, please read it. This was a really good book. I liked it a lot. I was kind of surprised. So the next one I read was, I was trying to like step out of my comfort zone and try different genres. And I don't know, I was just like in the mood for a classic read. And I remember in high school we had to read this, and I actually really enjoyed it in high school. So I got this edition of it, of The Great Gatsby. It has the gold foiling and gold foiled edges, and I just thought this was so beautiful. And like, look at the guy and the girl, like, it was just such a vibe. And I don't know, I was just really in the mood for whatever reason to read this. If you are willing to try it, I think this is like such a good freaking book to start literal fiction or just classic book reads. It's only 180 something pages. Like, it's just so good. The story is beautiful. I just, I love it. I feel like the twist is unexpected. It's just a really good read. I'm pretty sure I rated that 4 stars as well. Yeah. So I read Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I don't know. I'm not great with names, but this one was also a really good one. I was like so hesitant to read it, but I loved the aesthetic of this book, the world, the gothic vibe. I just love it. I mean, lately I've been like loving gothic vibes, but this just was such a different type of fantasy book. I really don't know how to explain it. It's just not your normal fantasy book. I also rated that at 4 stars. My next read, which I think my next couple or the rest of them, I don't know, most of these were going to probably be on my Kindle. My next one that I read, love this so much. I think I gave it 5 stars because if you know, you know. Like, I really don't have to explain it. The next one I read was, hopefully I can put it right here, but was Where's Molly by H.D. Carlton. And guys, it like made my heart happy. I don't know if it's because I read the Cat and Mouse duet like 2 years ago, but it just was like filled my heart with like something I didn't know I needed. And one, Molly was a badass, and I love that about her. She persevered through like all her crazy shit, her horrible parents. I just loved the story, and Cage was just like everything. And then the ending, and then the bonus epilogue, guys, my heart was just like pitter pattering. I was like, it was like reuniting with like my old best friends. Like I was like, oh my gosh, hey guys. I just loved it. I loved how it ended, and I just can't wait for more. Honestly, like HD Carlton, hello. I know you need to take time to let your creative juices flow, but like we need more. I need more, like ASAP. So that's that. The next book I read was the second book in the Zodiac Academy series, and this one is Ruthless Fae. If you don't know, you are following these two twins, Darcy and Tori, and they are regular girls. I believe they like lived in Chicago, and some guy randomly comes and tells them like, hey, you guys are royalty, you guys are heirs to the throne in Solaris, which is like in a different universe essentially for them. And they go to the school and they get bullied, and there's 4 of these guys who are, because the twins have been gone, they have been I guess declared like the heirs to the throne of Solaris until the twins come back, and they're like, whoa, we're gonna just bully them until they are like miserable and want to leave. So that's pretty much the first book. The second book is like they are stepping their shit up, and they're not gonna take shit from nobody anymore. And I just love it. I loved, when I finished the first book, I was like, wow, the second book is gonna be full of action. Like it's just gonna be pumped. And the second one definitely was that. I love this so much. And even this one finished off on such, not like a well, yeah, I guess a cliffhanger, but it makes you want to just like jump right into the third one. So I'm very excited to read the third one. I'm pretty sure I rated this 4 stars as well. Yes, I rated this one 4 stars as well. Like honestly, this whole series I'm pretty sure will end up being like 5 stars if it just continues to be as good as it's going right now. I've seen people say like book 5 and book 7, I think was another post I recently seen, that like they're crying and like it's heartbreaking, and I'm terrified. I don't want to see what the hell's gonna happen. I hope these people don't die at some point, because I am attached to all of them, even though the boys are assholes. I just love them. So the next book I read in February after that was, oh, that sounds bad. It's not bad, but I just recently started getting into my thriller era. I never really cared for thrillers before, but I don't know why. I just been like craving thriller books. So the next book I read, which was recommended to me by one of the girls in my Discord group, and she recommended Don't Let Her Stay by Nicola Sanders. This one was pretty interesting. We're following the characters, Chloe, and she is going to live with her father and her stepmother, I guess, Richard and Joanne, I think. And she is just puts on a face to her dad like she's really nice and like daddy this, like daddy's princess pretty much. And when he's not around, she becomes like super mean to the stepmom, and she's just trying to figure out like, what the hell's wrong, like what did I do to you? Like I know you were upset because her mother had passed away, and when he remarried she was upset, rightfully so, like we understand that. But then yeah, I don't know, it was just so much going on. I felt like it was super predictable all the way up until like a little bit before the halfway mark, and then once we got there I was like, okay, I'm getting a different vibe. And then I had like a second theory that was gonna happen, which pretty much happened all the way from like 40 something percent through the rest of the book, and that's kind of where it not finishes, but like ends up all the way to like 90 something percent. And then you get there and things are solved and everything's kind of out there, and then right at the end you get this twist, and I was just like, what the fuck? And it was pretty good. It wasn't like the worst. I feel like I give out 4 stars freely for like fantasy and my dark romance books, because you know, if I enjoyed the story, it was great. But this was, I enjoyed the story. Again, I felt like I had two theories and they both basically happened. The first one happened throughout the second half of the story, and then my second theory happened at like the last 5-10% of the story. So it was okay, but because of that I gave it a 3 stars. Wasn't the worst story, definitely recommend reading it. It was a wild ride. You are like kind of all over the place with the story. It was a good time. I'm like learning how to get into thrillers, and I don't know if, I feel like all the thrillers I have read so far, I feel that way, and I'm just at this point, is that how like they're supposed to be? Like I'm supposed to be like, I don't know. I'm learning. I'm figuring this out because it's new to me, okay? My next read. This book, I'm gonna have a lot to say about this book, so I'm just gonna give you a heads up now because I felt a lot of things about this book and for specific personal reasons. So for me, Gothic Ghana by Runix was like one of those books that I'm like 5-star, even 6-star, like my very first 6-star read. But I'm going to preface by saying I read the acknowledgement or the author's note. In the beginning, Runix talks about how this story is like near and dear to her heart. It's one of the closest books that she holds to her heart because it's stuff that she not necessarily went through, but the story is about Corvina, and she is, I don't even remember, she's like 20 something, 25 maybe, I don't know, she's like in her early mid 20s I believe, and she is just like isolated from the world. Her mother was known as like this crazy lady, and so because of that she got bullied, so essentially her mother just homeschooled her and basically just kept her home all the time. So one day she gets a letter to an acceptance to go to this college pretty much, and if you can, well, when you go to the college you can get your like bachelor's degree. The school is said to be haunted, and there's like all these mysteries surrounding the school. People go missing, there's deaths, nobody knows why it's happening. She goes to the school, and because she like hears voices, I guess essentially, she is like drawn to these mysteries because she's hearing these voices telling her to go certain places, and she's like, why is this voice telling me to go there? Whoop-de-whoop wop, right? So essentially the school's haunted, and but back to what I was saying in the beginning. So the author's note, now that I explained that, the author's note was explaining that when Runix was, I don't know, I don't remember if she was a teenager or something like that, but essentially she had to go to a boarding school-ish type thing where they said it was also haunted, and like while she was at the school there were things that happened that she really couldn't explain, and she had where the room that she lived in, the person that slept in the bed before her had died. So like there was a lot of things that she related to in the story, and for her, she wrote the story getting closure to all the mysterious things that happened in her school. Now why it's so near and dear for me is because I also went to, not essentially a boarding school, but I went away to a school when I was 16 or 17, and I went to a school out of my state, and I had to live at the school. There were dorm rooms and, you know, academic wings and all these things. The school was also in the middle of nowhere, and the only thing that was next to it was a military graveyard. So the school, before it was built, used to be like back in the day, used to be in like an asylum for the cuckoo people. And the doctor, you know, this was before medicine and all that, so the doctor used to, I guess, torture his patients. I don't know, there's like articles on it online I remember I looked into it when I first started going to school because they were telling me about it, and I'm like, is this real? And so like right outside of my window in my dorm room, there was a water tower thing, and there's a story of how a pregnant lady climbed up to the top and jumped off. And some nights in the middle of the night you would hear her screaming. Stories again. And then also popular stories were like my room was the last room in the hallway, and in the middle of the night our RAs, which is our residential advisors, they would, you know, make sure we were all there, and they used to tell us like they heard things. And the story was that supposedly there was like these little kids running up and down the hallways. They're ghosts, of course. So I just felt like super connected to the story and like immersed, because I'm reading it and I'm like picturing my school and like the things I went through, although I didn't have like a teacher-student relationship. But just the school aspect and the aesthetic and everything, I just felt it because again, I kind of experienced the same thing. Moving on. My next read after that, which I don't even know how, I feel like that put me in a slump, but my next read was Done and Dusted. This story was so fun. I think that was like my first cowboy, like, I don't want to say small town, I've read small town before, but I don't think I've read like a cowboy romance before. It was giving. It was definitely cute. It was spicy. It was funny. I remember loving her best friend. I think her name was Teddy. And I just loved it. I loved the two characters are Emmy and, oh gosh, what's the guy's name? It starts with an L. Luke. Emmy and Luke. And I love their story. I'm always like a little sucker for a brother's best friend. But I just love the story. I love how they had like this banter between them, and just the development of the characters, how he helped her get back into riding horses because she had gotten injured, and she pretty much was like terrified to ride horses after she got injured, and he just helped her train slowly. He didn't push her, and he just, it was cute. I loved it. I ate it up. I think I rated it a 4-star. I probably was more of like a 3.5, a 3.75, but of course rating it up on Goodreads 4-star. My next read was, oh my goodness, was Fabric of Our Souls. Guys, this book was so depressing in like such a good way. I ate it up. I loved it. It was just really sad. Like, it starts off sad, the middle sad. There's some moments where you're like, oh, it like soothes your heart because it's like they're finally not happy, but like they're finally finding a balance of happiness, because essentially it's about these people who try to harm themselves, or I don't know, I don't want to like say triggering words on here. What's the other boys' names? And I'm not gonna remember anything. So we're following our main character when she tries to harm herself, and she's in the hospital, and some guy comes in pretending to be a nurse, and she finds out he's not, because her brother checks her into a rehabilitation to help people like her find how to live their lives without hurting themselves and like living unhappy with themselves. And everyone there has their own traumas and their own problems, and for whatever reason, I can't remember the guy's name. I feel like it starts with an L as well. I don't know what's going on with that, but essentially she makes friends, and they have like this little trio friend group, and I just love the friend group between them. First of all, like, they both like her, but the guys are best friends, and they're like, bro, I know you love her, but like back the fuck up. And then she's like, look, why can't I remember his name? I want to say Lance, but I don't know if I'm making that up. It's just really sad. I really can't say a lot because it's just such a sad story. I like that there was like this mystery of like something that happened at the rehab that happened a long time ago with these 4 students that went missing or died, I'm not sure. And yeah, it's just a lot that goes on in the story, and then like the twist in the end is just so good. It was such a good story. Highly recommend. I believe I rated that 4 stars as well. I did 4 stars. So that was all the books I read in February. I feel like overall I had a really good month. I think I read about 10 books, right? Okay, I read 9 books, and that's pretty good for me because normally I read like 5 to 8 books, mainly like 5 to 6, but like sometimes I'll have a good month, and this was a really good month for me, and I haven't had a really good month like that in a while, and I had a lot of 4-star reads, so that was fun. And I hope this video is not super long, but I hope you guys enjoyed sitting here watching me talk about all the books I read in February. And I think that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.